What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Screen Fiend. I'm Pam. This is episode 4 of Queen Charlotte. Last episode, secrets were revealed, baby. Queen Charlotte now knows what's been going on with King George. And in this episode, we are going to see how well she handles it. We all know that she handles it really, really good. But the steps and things like that, y'all know I don't remember. It's been 2 years since I've seen the series. But enough talking, let's get into the episode.
If Your Majesty prefers to retire, Mr. Reynolds and I are perfectly...
Am I not permitted to watch the king?
It is just not usual.
I confess I still have much to learn about palace procedure. For instance, I just pulled the king out of a hole in the vegetable garden where he was busy discoursing with the sky. Is that usual?
Thank you. Tell his wife.
No, Your Majesty, the king has not been himself lately.
What you mean by lately?
What is happening? What has happened to my husband?
He is a beautiful creature, Your Majesty. Though I confess,
Go on, speak plainly.
I'm used to the old ways. Oxen are so much more predictable.
When you see that 2 of these horses can accomplish in a day what took a team of oxen a week, you shall learn how easily old habits die.
Yep.
Plows the Dutch are devising.
Excuse me, Your Majesty. It is the Dowager Princess. You are needed at the palace.
George. So good of you to clean up for us.
I did not expect so much company. Should not have troubled them.
Right.
Cannot stay long.
Every day you fail to produce an heir, our family's position weakens.
Are you kidding me? How old is he?
Cute.
18, 19?
Now I ask, is that all a king is? A royal stud horse trotted out for the chosen mare? Or can a king rule in his own way through practical scientific study?
God knows you have had your obstacles, but we cannot brook obstacles, not any longer.
So they all know he has mental issues?
I have found you a queen. Sophia Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. The betrothal contracts are signed.
I gotta look at the map again.
She will lose the
Well, he like, what the?
Lose the moon, Your Majesty?
storms over the North Sea this season. No sky, no moon, no moon, no lunars, no longitude. No longitude. No
I wonder if
latitude,
his
no latitude.
episodes start
Withdraw.
with him
Withdraw!
super stressed.
Not only the moon, Pollux.
I had a patient just like him in Chichester. It is an excess of ill humor in the legs.
We tried your methods.
Enough.
No, it's not. It's
You
stress.
entertained all your theories and thy hideous treatments.
Maybe they should have just gave
We
up.
need new theories.
They should have
Indeed,
gave up the
Your
royal,
Highness, it may
the
be
royal
time
crown.
to consider what none of your physicians have dared.
Would have been fine, probably.
That the king's condition is not merely physical, but nervous.
Do you understand what you're saying, sir?
That is treason. If the king is declared insane, he loses the throne.
Not insane. Merely suffering a disorganization of the nerves.
You are a
Disorganization I
mad
have
scientist.
devoted my career to curing. Listen, boy. Remember yourself. You are the king of England.
That's what's probably stressing him out.
Thousands prepared to die at a word from you. You're to marry in a week. Are you fit to marry, George?
I am.
What? They're like, what? Just like me. What? George, baby, George. I can tell you it's the stress. And I could know he's the only child. There's just no way. That Lord, I don't know his name, but I don't trust him.
There is a problem.
What have you done now, Brimsley?
Bride is missing.
Ah, he heard them.
I don't know what to do.
What are you doing?
None of your business.
Disappearing, as evidently the bride has done. No bride, no wedding.
If your bride is missing, it is your responsibility to remedy that.
Probably for the best. It was premature, all this. I'm not ready, not right.
I have examined you thoroughly, and you are perfectly right.
Do I look perfectly right to you?
Breathe, breathe, George. I understand. I have my. Did he just slap him?
He's right.
Okay. How do I get off the garden
Are you in need
wall?
of assistance of some kind?
I forgot what song that was.
Surprise. Where are you taking me?
You will see.
Or is.
I do not need to do anything. I decide. I have decided I am your king!
I am your king!
Does your majesty not find the queen attractive?
Oh, man.
I did not know a woman could be so beautiful.
Perhaps is she dull?
She is terrifyingly clever. That is the problem. If she were ugly, if she were dull, I might throw myself
Oh.
up to the task. Instead, her brilliance shows the troll I am. Doctor, thank you for coming so quickly.
Of course, Your
Oh, is that
Majesty.
the doctor?
Most impressive scientific collection.
Reynolds. I gotta remember his name is
Know that there
Reynolds,
is
the
another
butler.
to match it in England.
I need your help.
Of course. I am near at hand for whenever Your Majesty
Oh, he got
feels
some
fit.
thick hair.
If the Queen were to ever see me like that, if she were to flee from me, God forbid, if I were to hurt her, surely there must be something that you can do.
How you know that's what she was gonna do? You assume.
I have been experimenting with something more proactive.
Please. I want to be well.
You are used to the obedience of others.
Oh, see? He's perfectly fine. What do you need to...
You have not learned to obey.
What?
Simple.
Ew, what is that, oatmeal? Ew. Eat that shit.
Above all, you have never learned to submit.
Was that salmon? Submit. What does all these things have to do with his mental
Your
issues?
mind ranges undisciplined.
What? Oh, Poochie Poochie in the cage.
Is the origin of your fits.
I don't like seeing dogs in cages, even at their
This
homes.
is the cure. I don't give a damn who your father was, how many titles you have, or whether you are God's own representative on Earth. In here, you are just another animal in a cage. And just like an animal, I will break you!
You're fired. You're fired. Get off my premises. Now. Are those leeches? What does that have to do with him mentally?
What is that?
Oh my God.
Ungag him.
We have been at this for days.
Thank you.
How much longer?
As long as it takes to achieve our goal, that was our agreement.
Guards, unhand
Our
these
goal
men.
is to restore me to myself. Much more of this, and I will not have a self to return to.
Arrest these
Is a
men.
broken king really better than a mad one?
I do not call it the terrific method for nothing.
Is that Reynolds? Oh no.
Again.
Ew, what is that? Is that oatmeal?
Is your majesty quite all right?
Of course, why wouldn't I be?
Forgive me, your majesty, no reason at all. With respect, your majesty is his majesty. His majesty can do as he pleases. His majesty could be with her right now.
I can't take the risk. Especially with a woman so unpredictable. So capricious. Could you believe her the other night? Abandoning her honeymoon chambers in violation of all custom and decorum, not to mention my direct order. Bursting in unannounced on the king.
Excuse you?
Why, she is almost as mad as I am.
Or she wants to get to know you.
That is too dangerous for a man like me. Or maybe a perfect match.
Yup. Look at that. That's sad.
Look at her.
She's playing chess with herself. She is mad.
I believe she is lonely, Your Majesty.
Thank you.
Lonely. Imagine that. I've spent my whole life longing for time to myself.
She is just married, Your Majesty. It is her honeymoon. She may miss her husband.
I think I miss her too.
Your Majesty might provide the Queen a gesture.
They're like two little friends at it.
I was thinking flowers.
I am still the king, mad as I may be. Cannot a king move freely about his own palace?
Then why are you doing it? Why are you shrieking and looking out?
My dog is missing.
So?
I arrived at my laboratory this morning to find the cage unlatched.
What do you call it, laboratory?
And the stupid beast nowhere to be found.
Because he's in better hands.
It may be that the beast was not so stupid. Lapdog or wolf. Soon enough, an animal tires of its cage. Do you agree, Doctor?
Let him know, George.
Your Majesty, news from Buckingham House. The Queen has received your gesture.
Oh. And what did she think of it? Go on.
She called it a deformed bunny.
You know what? No ice bath. No chair today.
How many kings you know would do that and love to farm and to create food for his country? Well, yeah, country or city.
See, as I said, drives the plough straight as an arrow.
Hi, Your Majesty. It goes to show the most skittish creature in the barn can be the stoutest in the field.
I want to buy land so bad. Build a home, a garden.
Just realized the error of
I don't want to farm though. I don't want no animals on my property if they're not a dog.
throb only for Her Majesty.
You would do well to express gratitude.
Yet I feel only suspicion.
See, he's very high anxiety. He just needs to breathe. Pat, just hold his shoulder. Yes. Thank you. That's all he needs right now. And look, there she go.
Hello, Charlotte.
Oh, I forgot. That quickly, I forgot about the quack.
Your Majesty?
Not now, Doctor.
I'm going home to
Moving
to Buckingham House.
Thank
without
you.
consulting me.
Excuse you?
I have instructed the men to find you quarters there, though I am afraid our consultations may become rather less frequent. Alas.
But such a change could have disastrous consequences for your health.
My health. Doctor, I feel healthier than I have in years. Careful, Doctor. Remember the giant razor in your hand when you were waving it around like that?
If Your Majesty would hold still, I might avoid nicking the royal neck. The light down here is not...
Give me a break. He's not moving.
All right.
You're full of shit.
Sorry, we cannot better accommodate you.
If we do not resume treatment soon...
The chair.
We risk losing everything we have accomplished.
We...
Give me a break.
You and I, Doctor, have accomplished nothing. Anything accomplished for me has been the work of my bride. Her methods have done more for me than you and your chair could. When I was an infant, my colic was never just colic. My colic was a disaster. Refusal to eat my peas was the potential ruin of England. An incorrect sum at mathematics, the potential ruin of England.
I've lived my entire life in terror of acting incorrectly because every incorrect action...
And that's what brought it on.
...the ruin of England. That terror nearly broke me.
Now, I have met a woman who is never terrified.
Who does as she pleases. Breaks rules, courts scandal. Commits unthinkable impertinences. And she is the most royal person I've ever known.
Monroe, what are you doing here?
Something.
A spot of insomnia, Your Majesty. Unfortunately, I'm not free for treatment just now.
Perhaps I failed to speak clearly before. You will never treat me again. You are no longer my doctor.
Oh, pity. Nevertheless, I remain the Queen's.
The Queen's?
Yes, I'm preparing this poultice for her now.
Stay away from her.
But, Your Majesty, she came to me. Heard that the King's doctor was here and apparently figured that she should not settle for anything less than doctor to the King.
But why would she need a doctor?
Well, because, obviously, she is with child. She was not sure, but I... Congratulations, Your Majesty. A joyous day for England.
Ooh, that's... See? I have so many thoughts running through my mind about this. Of course, I'll talk about it later, but it's just like...
Farmer George.
Stress and anxiety. That's what I see the cause of his episodes.
Talk to me!
Farmer George. Here.
He's like, why am I naked? All he remembers probably being in the kitchen with that guy. She ready to curse that lady out. She about to get Caitlyn start. Catelyn start.
Ah, Charlotte. I did not expect you.
Who's she in there with?
Was a trial.
Has your highness ever
Oh, that
tried
girl.
cutting English mutton with a dull knife?
I beg your pardon.
The knives at Buckingham House used to be sharp enough. Then, one day, they were all dull. It happened to be the day the king joined me there. Surely a coincidence, too, that the very same day the windows were sealed shut. What I could not quite convince myself was a coincidence, though, was when the library set of Shakespeare was suddenly missing King Lear.
Forgive me, I am not a Shakespeare enthusiast.
The one about the mad king, because the king is mad and I live in a mad house.
You forget yourself, Charlotte.
All this time I thought I was the damaged one.
The king is not mad. The king is merely exhausted from holding the greatest nation in the world on his shoulders. If God grant you ever do bear an heir, then you may start to learn, and your first lesson will be this. You would do anything to stop the cracking. And yes, if necessary, you would leave the rough edges of his nature for his bride to discover in due course.
Rough edges? He was talking to the sky!
And what matter if your husband has
Relax,
The
George.
helm of the world. I did not even ask
Breathe.
for a husband. But if I must have one, if I must leave my home, my family, my language, my life, it cannot be for a man I do not know. A man I was not allowed to know. For a lie!
You are unhappy with your situation, perched at the pinnacle of power, a mere fool.
I don't think she's necessarily unhappy. I think she just would want to know ahead of time. Oh my God.
Strap me back in.
Damn. All right, let's get into this. I'm just going to start off with Queen Charlotte because it's just something I just want to really quickly say. King George is obviously hearing his mother and his wife arguing, right? And he's, of course, jumping the gun thinking that she doesn't want to be married to him. But that's not what the conversation is on her end. She just wanted to know. She's letting her mother-in-law know that I was taken away from everything that I know. Family, culture, everything. To marry someone far away in another country. It would have been nice to know what was going on. I think that is just the base of the conversation she's having with the princess. That's it. She's upset because she's waking up to her husband scribbling on the damn walls. Okay? And running into the garden screaming for Venus. Anyone would be upset that why wasn't this told to me? Because trust and believe me, the way as she's probably cleaning her husband with Reynolds, or even when she lay back down or she tried to go to sleep, she probably was thinking the whole time from the beginning when she was walking up the steps and she was with Brimsley, and she asked about the king, and he was very like, oh well, he's the majesty, he's the prince, he's the king, he's the blah blah blah. And she's like, okay, but what else is he? And even after that, she always wanted to know what he was, and nobody wanted to tell her. And that whole, and I'm telling you, in her brain, she was like, this is the main reason why no one wanted to tell me. They wanted to hide this from me, and the reason why he never stayed in Buckingham House is because of his mental issues, right? That's all she's saying. But of course, George, of who he is, he's gonna jump the gun, right? Now, let's get into King George, right? Before that, we can just say this. This episode pretty much is the perspective of George. The first 3 episodes were the perspective of Queen Charlotte, and this episode just jam-packed all 3 episodes into one, right? This episode is trying to tell us that the reason George has these episodes is because, one, he's a nervous Nelly. He gets nervous very easily. He has high anxiety. He gets stressed. He has high stress. And I wonder too if he possibly he has panic attacks. And for me, I have those same issues. I not necessarily like nervous Nelly. Maybe I do and I'm just not realizing it, but I suffer from high anxiety and I suffer from panic attacks. It hasn't been in a while, but I used to suffer panic attacks every night, and usually it happens every night. So I understand how he is here because I deal with it pretty much on a daily basis. Some people say there's no such thing, but let's be real here. It is. It's a chemical imbalance in your brain. That's what happens. A lot of people, what I like about this is that most people who have high anxiety, who have high panic attacks are women. And I do like the fact that they're showing that it's an actual man here that's dealing with it. He says something. Well, I think he was talking to the doctor. He was saying, ever since he was a kid, they pretty much just hammered in him as a king. And he's probably always had that chemical imbalance of being high anxiety. And it just, him being king and being the future heir of England, it just made it worse for him. It made it worse for him and maybe became him manic depression. And you can tell just from the events that you can tell his high anxiety, his stress level, his nervousness, it causes his episodes. When he was farming and he had to go see his mother because they found Charlotte for him and they were talking, you can tell the pressure they were pushing on him, it just quickly started. And that's how I could tell that's what it was. And I can tell you now, if he was not king, he wouldn't probably never had those type of episodes. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm being naive, but that's what I'm seeing from this episode. I don't think if he was just Farmer George, he would be okay. And you could see that you could see being around Charlotte, that it brings his levels down. You know what I mean? What else? What was another episode? The episode where episode he's about to have when he decided that he wanted to have dinner with Queen Charlotte. You could tell the gears in his brain are just turning, but they're turning in a negative way. Like, oh my God, how's she gonna react? Is she coming down? Does she know I'm here? Does she not want to see me? You could tell, and then you could see his hand shaking. And he needed that reassurance. And thankfully, Reynolds was like, oh my God, Reynolds, just hold his shoulder, just for him to just like bring it down a notch. See, back then they didn't have doctors who were knowledgeable in situations like that, or people like that with nervousness and high stress levels and anxiety. So just say breathe, because sometimes it's just as simple as that. It's just breathe. It's just our minds just go into this it just turns, and it turns in a negative way, and I quite don't understand. But sometimes we need just that one thing, just go relax, and it will bring you down. Because most people who have anxiety and panic attacks, they don't last very long. I know mines don't. I know majority, I would say 99% of my attacks don't last long. They probably last like 30 seconds or something like that. There have been periods of time where my stuff have lasted like 10 minutes or something like that, but that was really rare. I think that happened in my lifetime maybe 2 or 3 times, but most of the time my stuff just happens like for like 30 seconds. It's like really, really quick. But again, I was really happy that, you know, Reynolds was able to like kind of like touch his shoulder, like, we're here, it's gonna be okay. And then it stopped, right? And I don't know if the doctor knows why his episodes come about, because I just feel like when George woke up and he saw the doctor in the kitchen, and I think the doctor knows that that his episodes are created from anxiety, that's why he threw in that little nugget, like, up, the queen is pregnant. And what happened, instead of George being super happy, what happened? His gears were turning. Oh my God, what if my child has the same issues? It was just like all of that, and it created that episode. Hold on, my battery's dying. Like I was saying, I feel like, see, he's still, even though they like to call this doctor a quack, you know, mad scientist, whatever you want to call him, at the end of the day, he's still a doctor, right? And I really think that he knows that George's episodes start from his anxiety and stress. And I really think because he had that conversation with George, and George was telling him that, you know, he was praising Charlotte and saying like Charlotte is pretty much his medicine. The doctor did not like it. I think the doctor really wants control of George, and he sees that Charlotte was a threat. Now, do I believe that Charlotte came up to him? I don't believe that. I think he came up to Charlotte, and he probably told Charlotte like, I'm his doctor, blah blah blah, and then Charlotte, you know, confessed to him and told him that, listen, like, you know, I'm pregnant. And then he was going to use that on George, because he know George is, like I said before, like high anxiety, high stress, nervous, a nervous Nelly. And he knew that he would have another episode, and he knew that he would need him again. This is what I'm getting. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but that's what I'm getting. But it was a really good episode. I don't know, just a whole time watching this, I just really could relate. And like, I'm not bipolar, I'm just have high anxiety and all that other stuff, but I can understand him a lot. Like, for me, I live in New York City, and I can tell you this is not the place for me. It just isn't. Like, what I'm trying to achieve right now, I went to a month ago. You should say a month ago, right? What is it, 8/20? Yeah, it was a month ago. I went 8/20. A month ago, I went to North Carolina, and I went to South Carolina, and I was looking for places to live, because this environment is not for me. I need simplicity. I need calmness. Like, you guys have no idea, like, when I see pictures of like campsites and rivers and forests and stuff like that, like, I don't want to cry, but it brings me peace. I see it and I see peace. So I understand him when he likes to farm and stuff, because it brings him that peace. But yeah, that was a good episode. What do you guys think about it? Let me know down below. We can start a conversation. If you like the video, make sure you like. If you guys have been watching my videos and notifications. You haven't subscribed. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, subscribe. Join the new family. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodaloo.